Speech Night is a one-of-a-kind, biannual campus tradition established in 1971, making it the longest running event of its kind in the country.
So let's get started. You get a means of connection between people or places in particular.
Public speaking is power.
You say things in different ways, it means things, and it means different things to different people.
But for us to be able to alleviate someone's misfortune, we have to first be able to listen to their problem.
Acquiring the skill of speaking before a group of people may be one of the most important.
Oh, there's a word to describe that feeling.
According to the Walt Disney Company, they currently operate from infinity to beyond.
There just comes a time when you have to stand up for your rights, and you have to stand up for what you believe, and you have to stand up for what's right.
And at the time, I just kept thinking, I was like, you got up here and you did what no one else could do. You got up here, you did what so many people were afraid to do. I was like, stop listening because you're already a winner.
First, would you send someone to prison to make yourself feel better? I probably would say no.
It was quite an event. I was not prepared to win, did not expect to win. It was a surprise and a good one. What you need to do is find a way to channel that nervousness into what you're doing, into your speaking, into your presentation. And I tried to remember that, and I guess it worked that night.
I mean, I was one of maybe 7 people who were, honored to give a speech at this amazing event in front of so many people, but it's a lot of responsibility and it's a lot of stress.
To bring this all to them, to make them feel like they're really a part of it. Thinking, what are you going to say to them?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the IU Indianapolis Department of Communications Speech Contest. My name is Alyssa Taylor, and I'm the undergraduate lab director and assistant director for tonight's event. If you have a phone, please make sure to set it to off or to vibrate, but that doesn't mean you'll have no use for it tonight. Later, you will get to use your phone to take pictures, to vote, and if you're a student, make sure you get those screenshots. That's 50 points for you. Additionally, please take some photos. We'll open an assignment slot on the Speakers Lab Canvas sites. We would love for you to upload some good pictures from tonight. If we can use them for anything, we'll make sure to give you photo credits. Now, before we get started, I want you all to meet your MC for tonight, Salsabil Fadi Kadora. Solsville is a sophomore majoring in law and liberal arts with a minor in business. She also serves as the campus editor and financial officer of the Campus Citizen. With a passion for communication and its ability to inspire, empower, and unite, Solsville also won first place in the 107th speech contest. So let's give a warm round of applause and welcome your MC for tonight, Solsville.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Salsabil Fadi Kodura, the most common name in Indiana, and I was honored to be chosen as the winner of the 107th speech competition. I'm also honored to be your MC for the 109th speech competition tonight. I'll be frank, it's a Monday, it's late in the evening, and the week before finals week. You may be tired, overwhelmed, or anxious to leave. Perhaps you have a stacked Canvas to-do list, or your warm blankets and pillows are calling your name. Well, I'm not helping my case, but in all seriousness, while this may not have been all your first pick for how to spend your evening, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. With perhaps the easiest final you'll ever have, you will watch 7 amazing speeches constructed and rehearsed by your peers. These contestants survived quarterfinals and an intense semifinals. They are here to present their best work. After our contestants present their speeches, we will have a magician performing while you lock in on your votes. This can be a lit night if you choose to make it one. We see it as a good way to celebrate the hard work you and your peers have completed and to embrace topics on many people's minds. Before we get into it, let's hear from our sponsor, the Department of Communication. Please give a warm welcome to the new chair of the Department of Communication, Dr. Adam Maxwell.
Good evening, everyone. Hi, I'm Adam Maxwell, Chair of the Department of Communication, and it's a joy to welcome you all here tonight, public speaking scholars, friends, parents, colleagues, and guests, to the 109th semi-annual speech night here in the historic Madam Walker Theater. Our department has hosted this event at the end of every fall and every spring semester since 1971. It's the longest, as far as we know, the longest continuously running event on this campus. I'm actually new to this department and into IU Indianapolis, and when I was told about the history of Speech Night, I was floored. I've since taken the opportunity to watch recordings of past events where our best students have challenged us, have inspired us, and invited us to see the world in new ways. Tonight, we get to add to that tradition. You'll hear 7 of the strongest speeches selected from roughly 1,600 students who've delivered them over the course of the semester. And you're not just the audience. As Salsabil mentioned, you're part of the process. Your evaluations help determine the outcome of this competition. That outcome really matters. The winner tonight will take home a beautiful award, bragging rights, a really nice line on the resume, and scholarship. So listen carefully, think critically, and choose wisely. Before we begin, I wanted to thank a few people who've made this night possible. First, thank you for all of the R110 instructors. You've guided students through nerves, drafts, practice runs, and presentation days. Your work changed lives, and it shows in the speeches we'll hear tonight. Next, the R110 leadership team, who keep this enormous course running smoothly, coordinating well over 1,000 classes, sections each year, and thousands of students every year, and who have done all the behind-the-scenes work that brings this event to life. A special thank you to our course director, Angela Sisson, to our Speakers Lab mentors who coach students one-on-one, to our technical crew capturing the evening, and to our wonderful MC, Salsabil Kadora. I also want to take a moment as the new chair of the Department of Communication to say a little bit about who we are and invite you, especially students, to imagine yourselves continuing your work with us. Our department is home to multiple majors and minors. You can learn about communication studies, focusing on relationships, organizations, public advocacy, and how messages shape our lives. Or on journalism and public relations, centering on reporting, storytelling, digital media, strategic communication, and public trust. Or applied theater, film, and television, where students explore film, performance, and television as powerful forms of storytelling and social impact. If you've already chosen a major, I'd encourage you to take a look at our minors and certificates. We offer several, from corporate and organizational communication to journalism and public relations, to film studies, to theater, to health communication, and more. Across these areas, students learn Across these areas, students learn how communication works in everyday conversations, in media and technology, in creative performance, and in public life. They learn to analyze messages, to craft them strategically and ethically, and to think about how communication shapes communities, democracies, and culture. If you're still deciding on what to study, I hope you'll take a look at what we have to offer. Whether you're drawn to public speaking or media production, journalism, strategic communications, storytelling, or performance, there's definitely a place for you in the department. One of the questions we hear from students and their parents often is, will this help me get a job? The answer, absolutely yes, but not just one job. Communication classes and degrees are built around highly marketable, transferable skills that employers say they need the most, like the ability to write and speak clearly, to research, analyze, and make sense of complex information, to collaborate across differences and work well in teams, to think ethically and make judgment calls when the stakes are high, to use communication technology effectively, and to design and deliver messages that actually reach and engage people. Those are exactly the skills students are practicing in R110 and exactly the skills that communication students deepen. And I think this matters even more right now. You see, we're living in a time of significant change. Economic uncertainty, political polarization, cultural shifts, and perhaps most visibly, rapid technological change driven by tools like artificial intelligence. In a world where information can be generated in an instant, where our feeds are overflowing and our attention constantly pulled in different directions, communication skills have never been more important. The ability to engage real audiences with care and respect, to look out at a sea of information and figure out what truly matters, to turn research, information, and experiences into stories that people can understand, to make connections with others face-to-face and across the world. These are the skills of the present and absolutely the skills of the future. What you will see on the stage tonight are those human skills, those communication skills in action. Every student speaking tonight had to choose a topic, research it, structure an argument, anticipate questions, and then stand up and deliver to real people who can see them, respond to them, and be moved by what they say. This is courageous work. It is exactly the kind of work that shapes workplaces, communities, and public life in the years ahead. To our R110 scholars, those of you on the stage tonight and those of you in the audience, remember that by completing this course, you've invested meaningfully in your future. The work you've done here is more than a class requirement. It's a foundation you will carry with you into every part of your life. In this course, you've learned how to capture attention, to establish the need for change, to offer a clear path, help an audience visualize what's possible, and call them to action. You've learned the power of structure, from strong introductions to purposeful conclusions, and how to organize ideas so audiences can follow and remember them. You've practiced supporting your claims with credible evidence, blending research with your own voice, and adapting your approach to the people in front of you. You've learned how to deliver a message with clarity and poise, even when your hands were shaking a little. Those aren't just academic skills, they are life skills. So don't pack them away. Keep growing as a communicator. The tools you developed in R110 aren't just for tonight, they're for everything that comes next. And to all of you in the audience, I want to ask you something tonight. Be present, be open, be willing to see what the power of communication can do. Listen not only for the words themselves, but for the intention behind them, the choices, the vulnerability, the work it takes to stand here and try to reach an audience. Notice how a well-told story can shift a perspective, how passion can make an issue feel urgent, and how connection can happen, even between strangers through a few minutes at the microphone. Communication, at its best, invites us to think differently, to imagine possibilities, and to understand one another more deeply. My hope is that tonight, you'll let these speakers do exactly that. Let them challenge you, let them surprise you, let them move you. Let them remind you why human communication and expression still matter in a world overflowing with information. Thank you for being here, for supporting these students, and for valuing the power of communication. And now it's my pleasure to turn the program back over to our wonderful MC, Salsabil.
Thank you, Dr. Maxwell. Now, before we bring our first speaker to the stage, I want to take a few moments to review the judging and voting process. You all should have received a paper tonight that includes the event agenda, the names of the contestants, and a section with a QR code for both the program and the voting links. If you did not receive this paper, you can view this digitally on the Speakers Lab Canvas site. On the back of the event agenda, there is a place for you to score each contestant on a variety of categories, including the proper Monroe format, citations, and speech delivery. We ask that you score fairly and consistently. Please make sure that you are judging based on the same criteria for each contestant. After each of the 7 contestants have presented, you will vote by ranking the contestants from 1st to 7th place. When it is time to vote, you will use your phone camera to scan the QR code. We did include the link in case that works better for you. In that Google form, you will then rank the contestants, one being the best. If you do not remember the order of the speakers, you can review the event agenda to see the contestant order there. Once the scores are calculated and the time penalties are put into place, we will announce 3rd place, 2nd place, and our 109th speech competition winner. Now, let's meet the 109th speech competition contestants. Our first speaker of the night is Sophia Lynn from Westfield. She's studying chemistry and preparing for dental school, which means she's already mastered the 2 things most of us fear: tough science classes and the dentist's chair. When she's not in the lab, she's crocheting and baking so she can knit you a scarf and bring snacks, which makes her immediately the most popular person in any study group. Her professor is Professor Mayna. Please help me welcome Sophia to the stage.
Hello, my name is Sophia Lynn. Today I'll be talking about American illiteracy. Did you know that 56% of US adults cannot read above a 6th grade level? This was found in 2023 by the National Center for Education Statistics. Do you recognize these books on the screen? I love these books, and I still do. They're classics, but they lie at the 6th grade reading level. With such a large proportion of the population illiterate, the chances are high that you or someone you know has personally been affected by low literacy in our country. In high school, I co-founded a tutoring program, which meant for 3 years I interacted with students who read below grade level. I met a 7th grader who couldn't read simple sentences, and a 3rd grader whose parents couldn't help her with her English homework. I've seen the literacy crisis with my own eyes. Now, illiteracy in the United States is harming the entire country. However, investment in present and future illiteracy could help alleviate this issue. Now, part of the reason why illiteracy is such a big issue for the entire country and not just individuals is how important words are. They're the foundation of clear communication in today's society. Now, one part of the reason why they're so important is they help you in your day-to-day life and they help support a stable future. One part of day-to-day life is managing your health. Now, we all know how difficult it is to navigate the healthcare system, right? When you're sick, you have to take time off work, you have to make an appointment. Sometimes people are booked out months in advance. Clinic wait times are a nightmare, medication's expensive. The easiest way to access information is online. However, a 2024 study by Will et al. Found that the average readability of online patient education materials by the American Heart Association, Cancer Society, and Stroke Association lied at the 10th to 12th grade level. Now, the World Health Organization says the key to engaging in good health behaviors is being able to understand and then think critically about the information that's given to you. But it's difficult to do that if you're trying to read a 10th grade article when you can only read at the 6th. Now, illiteracy is also linked to crime. The National Center for Education Statistics also looked at the association between literacy and employment. They found that people who are unemployed were 13% less likely to be able to read proficiently, and those who are out of the labor force are 22% less likely. Illiteracy is an unappealing trait for employers, right? Another reason this is important is illiteracy also bars you from higher education. Higher education is important because it provides the paper to back up the knowledge and the skills that you have, which make you more likely to be hired. However, unemployment or unstable employment creates a lack of income that may lead people to seek out crime as a result in order to compensate. Now, the National Assessment for Adult Literacy found that people who are incarcerated were 13 to 24% less likely to be able to read proficiently than people who were non-incarcerated. On top of this, illiteracy also creates issues with preventable economic loss. This can happen either directly or indirectly through things like poor health and high crime. Now, people or employees who are sick, injured, or otherwise unhealthy either cannot come to work or their productivity suffers when they do work. Additionally, businesses suffer from high crime due to things like vandalism and stolen property, increased security expenditures, and loss of investment due to this crime. Illiteracy can also cause direct economic loss. Businesses lose money to illiteracy due to things like fixing misunderstandings, incorrect orders, or maybe losing customers. The World Literacy Foundation estimates that illiteracy causes economic loss of $300.8 billion of the American GDP. Clearly, illiteracy poses a multifaceted issue. However, investment in the present illiterate population and in decreasing illiteracy in future generations can help reduce this issue. These two maps are by the Barbara Bush Foundation for Literacy. The left shows illiteracy and the right shows poverty, with associations in the districts highlighted by each, if you see that U shape right there. Now, investment in these low-income districts could help put more money towards schools in order to raise their quality of education and, in turn, their standards for literacy. This means that students in these areas would have the skills for success, be more employable, be able to access higher education. Additionally, another possible route of action is adult education centers throughout the country. These are institutions that work to help adults improve their foundational literacy skills. By investing in these institutions, they would be able to provide more resources and more support to their adult students in order to help them access better employment and educational opportunities in the future. Now, this all seems like a very large-scale thing, and it is. But investing in these two things could help create a world where people are not limited by the opportunities in the area in which they were born. People would have better access to resources to help them succeed, and be able to be more employable and access higher education so that they do not experience issues with that. Now, what can you do to help? Because that seemed like a very large thing, might not involve you. But here in Indianapolis, we have something called Indy Reads. It is actually the only adult education organization in Indiana that works to that formally helps adult students with their foundational literacy skills. Now, this QR code, let me get out of the way, sends you to their volunteer interest form. Filling this out is not a commitment, obviously. You could volunteer in their classrooms or in their bookstores or at any one-time events that they may have. You could help create a better future for other people. Right now, the US is hindered by its illiterate population, but investing in it would help create a better, help reduce illiteracy in present and future populations. My first language is in English, so I know how important literacy is. It's why I'm standing in front of you here today, and I hope I've shown you the same perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophia. Our second speaker this evening is Raja Kelwick. She grew up in Avon and is part of the nursing program. Raja loves to travel and try new adventures, which feels like perfect preparation for nursing, a profession where plans change quickly and flexibility is basically a superpower. Her instructor is Dr. Sisson. Please help me welcome Raja to the stage.
Picture this. An individual is in danger, you immediately step into action and you save a life. But instead of a thank you, that results you in getting in trouble with the law. Unbelievable, right? It was around 2:30 a.m. when a former police officer, now driving for Uber, saw a pickup truck swerving in and out of the road. He called 911 and started describing what he was seeing. Without thinking twice, the man stepped in to help when he saw that the truck driver was stumbling across oncoming traffic. The man handcuffed the driver, grabbed his keys, license, and bottles of alcohol, and waited for the cops to show up. 17 minutes later, the cops arrived. They let go of the truck driver and arrested the man who helped. He was then charged with impersonating a police officer. This happened in Texas 2024 in the Hughes versus Garcia case, according to the United States District Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. The man had good intentions. He helped the person during a car crash, and the court came after him and not the person causing harm to the citizens. What's the justification for disciplining the good guy in this case? You're brave enough to step in, whether it's for a small or big situation, but imagine every time you help someone, you have a possibility for legislation. How many would hesitate to help, and how many lives are we losing every day because of fear, court, and punishment? As a future nurse in our society, and just as an individual who cares about fairness and justice, I have done some research on cases that put heroes at risk instead of thanking them. The system frequently betrays those who step in to help, disciplines braveness instead of honoring it. But as a society, we can make a change to this problem by educating the public, helping and protecting each other, and most importantly, using our voices to create a world where we honor those brave ones instead of muting them. The system frequently betrays those who step in to help instead of encouraging them and honoring them. Why? To this day, these heroes who step in to help and act right during emergencies still face some pretty serious risk. According to the United States District Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit, when police officers arrived at the scene, they let go of the drunk driver and arrested the Good Samaritan, Hughes. This is a huge systematic problem. The Samaritan laws in many states only discuss the protection against medical professionals. What about the citizens? That leaves them vulnerable to fines, charges, and lawsuits when they're only helping with good intentions. Our current legal system dissuades bravery and fails in so many ways to protect humanity and those with good intentions. Let's take a look at Van Horn versus Doherty case. Lisa was driving behind her friend Alexandra in LA when her friend lost control of her car and crashed. Lisa was so scared that the car was about to catch fire, so she ran over to her friend's car, opened her door, and pulled her friend out. Alexandra then sued Lisa for making her injuries worse. According to Time magazine, the court found Doherty was not protected from legal action under California's Good Samaritan laws. These cases are not a mistake or misunderstanding. It's a deeper issue within the system. If we want to protect those who helped, then laws need to be changed and clear about who is protected by it. To fix this problem, why don't we start protecting those saviors that sacrifice themselves, not only through public awareness, but through federal laws that define and cover them from any lawsuits and court punishments. According to the AMA Journal of Ethics, Good Samaritan legislation was initially directed towards physicians who came upon an ailing victim outside of a hospital setting. Originally, it was only covering medical professionals, but in some states, that has expanded to cover anyone who helps in emergency. According to the American Association of Retired Persons, a nonprofit organization states that Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Delaware have laws that protect those who help, and only healthcare workers are protected from liability in Kansas and Missouri. According to the National Library of Medicine, Connecticut, Michigan, Illinois, and Kentucky have laws that define those covered under the Good Samaritan immunity, but limits protections to individuals trained in standard first aid. Because of the lack of protection, we can understand why so many individuals hesitate to help and why so many lives are left at risk. Being aware and educated is a powerful tool to these citizens. In addition to fair police interaction, a number of studies have found a lack of awareness about existing GCL and how it's one of the main factors limiting their impact. Moreover, even people who know about the GCL are often still hesitant to help because they're unsure about the protection afforded by the law, according to a study done in health research and policy systems. But changing the law and educating people isn't good on its own. We need to make sure that people feel safe when helping. We must live in a world where we don't have to pay the price and get punished and dragged to court for doing something good. According to the American Heart Association, 25% of those who surveyed had never heard of the Good Samaritan immunity. This survey taken by people is a great example that being educated is a powerful tool to these citizens. All of us are aware that many people hesitate to help in emergency because they're not educated enough and are not aware of their laws. Here's what we can do. You can write a letter to your state representative asking them to promote the Good Samaritan law, to make it clear and inclusive to all citizens. You can find representative contact information on health.gov/representatives. You can sign a petition that calls for public education and awareness and explaining the law and protection to all citizens. You can start one on openpetition.org, or you can sign support Good Samaritan law reform on change.org. The goal of this petition is to make it clear and inclusive to all citizens. Nevertheless, we all have a voice we can use. Like Angelina Julia said in her Academy Awards acceptance speech, I have never understood why some people are lucky enough to be born with the chance that I had to have this path in life, and why across the world there's a woman just like me, with the same abilities, same desires, same work ethic and love for her family, who would most likely make better films and better speeches. Only she sits at a refugee camp. She has no voice. She worries about what her children will eat, how to keep them safe, and if they're ever allowed to return home. I don't know why this is my life, and that's hers. Let's all remember, we all have a voice we can use. It's all up to us to protect those who can't, to stand up for fairness, and to stand up for justice. From now on, let's be the generation that fights for their rights to be clear, and where courage is not punished, but protected.
Thank you, Raja. Our next speaker is London Powell, who also grew up in Avon. She's majoring in pre-visual communications with a minor in Japanese, which means she can design something beautiful and explain it in 2 languages. London hopes to become a graphic designer, and in her free time, she's usually drawing. Representing Professor De Janeiro, please welcome London to the stage.
Raise your hand if you've ever sent a text message on your phone while driving. What's wrong with you people? What a bunch of lawbreakers. If you didn't raise your hand, that's okay. I bet majority of you who didn't raise their hand are lying. On July 1st of 2020, the Indiana Department of Transportation enacted the hands-free law, a law that prohibits handheld devices such as smartphones and tablets to be in one hand while driving. So, to put it bluntly, every time you suspiciously smell at your crotch during that red light is not only illegal, but deadly. And I would hope as a college student, the last thing you'd want to do is to kill you or someone else on your commute to school, or at the very least, blow a hole in your wallet from a citation. I admit, I have attempted to use my phone while driving. I say attempted, because I have an old Ford Focus with a manual transmission. Steering wheel is constantly trying to rip out of my hand. I have no fancy indicators for cars in my blind spots, and I constantly have to use my right hand when shifting. So, trying to use my phone while driving was a challenge, and I almost swerved into oncoming traffic during my pitiful attempt at multitasking. I learned very quickly to never do that again. So, with the privilege that I've been given to speak with you all, I'd like to fight for space in your thoughts about texting and driving, dangers and sciences behind it, what we can do about it, and how much safer we would be without it. I fear that many of us do not take this matter seriously. You think to yourself, but I was using my phone here on the way this morning, I'm doing just fine. That right there is the problem. You were fine today during that one drive. But can you be so sure you'll make it to school, to work safe every day? Because your stroke of luck could have been this close to the front of your car being wrapped around an electrical pole. Further communicate the dangers of texting and driving, Sherry Box, an esteemed communications manager from the highly innovative College of Virginia Tech, shares that text messaging increases the risk of a crash or near crash event to be 23.2 times more likely than non-distracted driving. 23 times more likely. To know that if I pick up my phone, I am 23 times more likely to get in an accident. That's terrifying. To know that enough people died that esteemed colleges are taking precious time to research it is terrifying. Do you feel safe knowing such a high number looms over your head every time you pick up your phone? Just put it into perspective. How I Lost Data Institute shares that within a given year, you have roughly a 6% chance of getting in an accident. So if you're on your phone for, say, 50% of that driving time, that's now a 72% chance. Do not be okay with a 72% of possible death. I feel sad enough to suggest that there are people out there who are driving on their phones for 50% of their time, but unfortunately it is true. Just take a look in your rearview mirror and see it for yourself. Scare you a bit more, Zebra, nation's leading independent insurance comparison site, shares that 14% of all distracted driving just attribute specifically to cell phone usage. And 40%, oh, that's not that big of a number, right? Let me show you the magnitude of this percentage. U.S. Department of Transportation shares that in 2021, 43,230 people died from motor vehicle accidents. So the absolute value of people in 2021 that died from accidents attributing to cell phone usage is about 6,052 people. That's a lot of people. To know that these statistics are federally approved is horrifying and shows that the dangers of texting and driving are very real. And what saddens me the most is knowing that every dot, every line, and every graph, every study was a mother, a child, a veteran, a nurse, a person with a story to tell that's no longer here. And all of that was a lot to digest and really depressing, so why don't we move to something a little less depressing? What can we do about it? Lots of things. Example, Indiana Department of Labor clarifies that the fine for texting or emailing on a handheld device is up to $500. What could we possibly do to discourage drivers from texting and driving? Raise the price. Would you feel encouraged to text while drive if you had to pay up to a $5,000 fee and face possible license suspension? Do you have the time, money to suffer that consequence? Someone to drive you until then? We can contact the Indiana Department of Transportation and ask to make the punishment for texting and driving more extreme. But I don't address the government right now. Okay, that's fair. The government's in shambles. Maybe then we can approach a different way, and that being obtaining a driver's license. Driver's Ed is a brilliant program backed by the BMV, teaching many Hoosiers how to drive. But it is not required to obtain a license. I say we change that, because something that I know is every story, every lesson that involved a parent sharing how their child died from distracted driving, those showed me how I can be not better as a driver, but better as a person. So I say we implement those lessons, those videos, as questions on the driver's test that you need to get 100% on in order to obtain your license. We can do that by contacting Kevin Garvey, commissioner of the BMV, and asking his assistance in modifying the driver's test to include such questions regarding the dangers of texting and driving. And both of these solutions can work together in tandem to solve our problem. There is no single answer. What matters is that we make an effort to change our reality. So, I want us all to imagine what the roads would be like if we all chose to collectively put our phones down when behind the wheel. Wouldn't it be nice to get to work, to school on time? To be able to get through the allotted amount of cars each green light is programmed to let through? To know that if the person in front of you was weaving back and forth, it was because they were drunk, so you could report them and get them off the road? Wouldn't it be nice to not feel scared to get out on the road? To not worry if your insurance could cover another potential crash? To be able to use your car for the 10, 20 years it was made to last? If you're a college student living on campus, to not feel like every time you go out to cross the street is a chance to get run over? If you have family members, siblings, children, people you love, to not worry if they'll come home safe, even if it's just a 5-minute drive to the grocery store. So please, I understand that driving can feel like a chore, but I implore you to be grateful for what you have. Cars are incredible. Being able to travel such great distances at such fast speed is this amazing feat humankind has accomplished. Cars are the very machines that brought many of you here today. So you can choose to view your car as a, pardon my language, shitbox, or you can choose to be grateful for what you have. Because as nice or shitty as your car is, won't last forever. Please be grateful you have a car at all. So, you've listened to me harp about how awful texting and driving is and what society can do about it as a whole, and all puppies and rainbows if it wasn't a problem. But if we're being realistic, you probably don't have enough time or simply do not care enough to go and contact your local county legislators and demand righteous change. And that's okay. So what can you do instead? Practice self-control when behind the wheel. Put your phone on lock, put it on do not disturb, turn it off. If you need your phone for a map, install a phone holder in your car so you don't have to touch your phone. Better yet, install a navigation device in your dashboard. Be a good passenger. If your driver's on the phone, offer to send that text message, find that location on the map for them. And don't be a distraction by trying to show them something on your phone. That can wait. Most importantly, have both compassion and shame. Emergencies happen. If you need to pull over on the side of the road to finish that conversation, that's okay. But also know if you're pulling up to a red light at a crossing street full of passing pedestrians, now is a highly inappropriate time to be fiddling with your Spotify queue. Utilize compassion and shame as lessons for you and your peers to do better in the future, because something that I know is embarrassment lingers and is a great lesson to do better. So if you get anything out of this entire speech, if you still feel like using that little mind-numbing rectangle in behind the wheel, just remember, this right here has the power to take your life. Thank you.
Thank you, London. Our next speaker is Kaylin King from Kansas City, Missouri. She's studying American Sign Language interpretation with a business minor, a very impressive combination that means she can interpret a conversation and negotiate one. Kaylin's dream is to be a concert interpreter, which is honestly a fantastic career, helping people connect while standing closer to the stage than anybody else. Her instructor is Professor Mariscal. Let's welcome Kaylin.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We said these words each morning before we really knew what they meant, and we stood for a flag that we were told represented freedom, yet still flies over schools where children don't make it home. I want you to imagine something with me. You're packed in shoulder to shoulder, your friends on either side. The bleachers are creaking as the students shift, and a relentless wave of movement is rolling throughout the crowd. Up front, the principal approaches the podium, and the noise starts to quiet. Everyone waiting for that first word to cut through the silence. But it isn't a word. And that's when everything stops. It's chaos and it's fear. It's the moment that defines the before and the after. It is another act of gun violence in our schools. No child should have to send the text that says there's a gun on school grounds and it's firing. No parent should have to receive it. I've had to send that text twice. We live in a society where our policies prefer to turn a blind eye to the blood of innocent children. How much longer till we put a foot down and say enough is enough? The US has neglected the issues of gun violence and its impact on our schools for far too long. It is time to stand to demand firmer protection of our Second Amendment rights whilst keeping our children safe. These actions are necessary not only for the freedom of America's present, but for the freedom of America's future, because no longer will our freedom be interrupted by gun violence in our schools. Gun violence is no longer just a health and safety issue. It's a public crisis. CNN explains that as of this year, gun violence is the leading cause of death amongst children and teens, beating out car accidents, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, and all diseases. That's a 106% increase since the year 2013. The Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health explains that in 2022, 131 people died a day due to gun violence. That's one person every 11 minutes. And schools are not immune to this violence. David Reedman's K-12 school shooting database finds that in the year 2022, there were 351 school shootings. But numbers do nothing to explain the true horror of what a school shooting looks like. Columbine, 25 dead. Sandy Hook, 26 dead. Parkland High, 17 dead. Virginia Tech, 32 dead. Robb Elementary, 21 dead, and so many more. How many more times do we have to text, "Mom, I'm scared there's a gun," before we see change? The truth is, guns are far too easy to access and far too easy to bring onto school grounds. In fact, the Washington Post finds that beyond those who are dead and wounded, 398,000 children have experienced gun violence at school and emerged extremely traumatized. And even then, we know that this number is far too small to be accurate. On this graph, each tiny dot represents 20 children who were exposed to gun violence at their school. And even then, this isn't enough. In the state of Indiana alone, you do not have to have a permit to purchase, a registration of owners, a licensing of firearms, or a permit to carry any rifles, handguns, or shotguns. We have seen more violence in our schools since before I was born, yet we still do not see change. Gun violence is such a polarized issue, but it does not have to be. Raise your hand if you or someone you know owns a firearm. Raise your hand if that firearm is safely stored, that person could pass a background check, and if that person is mentally stable. If your hand is up like mine, then the gun owner would pass gun registration laws that could save American lives. Background checks, child access prevention laws, and mental aptitude tests have the possibility to keep our children in their schools safe. Howard Spivak, the former director of the Division of Violence Prevention with the CDC, finds that when we compare gun regulations to car regulations, there's alarming similarities. We didn't eliminate cars. We did things to make them safer. The same thing can happen with gun regulations. With policies such as background checks, child access prevention laws, and mental aptitude tests, we create a safer community. By keeping guns out of the hands of dangerous individuals and ensuring those that are responsible citizens still exercise their Second Amendment rights afforded to us. These protections are necessary, not only for us, but for the future of America. In fact, these policies are already effective in states across the United States. If we start first with background checks, Michael Siegel with the Rockefeller Institute on Government finds that in states where there are universal background checks required to purchase a firearm, there is a 12.9% decrease in gun violence deaths. Second, child access prevention or safe storage laws. Let's first look at two cases. The first in 2021 when a 15-year-old shot and killed 4 students at Oxford High School. And the second in 2024, when a 14-year-old killed 2 students and 2 teachers at Appalachia High School. In both cases, the parents were tried with involuntary manslaughter for giving their children unregistered, unrestricted access to their guns. Child access prevention laws prevents this. And finally, mental aptitude checks. There is already a federal law preventing individuals who have been involuntarily committed or shown mental instability from owning firearms. All that's left to do is enforce it. We are a nation built on justice, liberty, and the freedom of safety for every student who enters a classroom. However, today, the promise is broken. Not only did gunfire replace the sound of warning bells, but fear has replaced freedom. But it does not have to stay this way. Stand with me in action. On the screen is a QR code that I need you to scan. It will give you 2 things. First, a list of your representatives, and second, a speech that can be sent over phone or via email demanding to see action and change within the gun policies of our nation. Every student should have the right to go to school and learn safely, and every student should have the courage to stand up and demand that our freedom no longer comes at the cost of our lives. And it is because these laws protect the very freedoms that we pledge allegiance to that we must accept change. The last school shooting was 6 days ago. On December 2nd, we saw 2 students shot in Burton High School in California. Because we pledge allegiance to the flag, it is our time to demand that our freedom is no longer interrupted by gun violence in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaylin. Our next speaker is Prableen Kaur from Indianapolis. She's majoring in neuroscience with a chemistry minor, which means she takes the kind of classes most people only agree to after signing a waiver. Outside of studying how the brain works, she reads, plays the flute, and hangs out with friends. Her professor is Ingrid Cummings. Please help me welcome Prableen Kaur.
Let's play a little guessing game. I'm gonna say an item and I want you to think about how much it might cost. We'll start off with a gallon of milk. This might be around a few dollars. What about a textbook? This could be $100. What about healthcare? I guarantee that for most of you, a concrete number didn't come to mind. That's because when it comes to healthcare, it's not the price we're thinking about. It's whether we can get the care we need when we need it in order to feel better. The focus isn't on money, it's on access. However, what if you lived in a reality where the opposite were true? Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that your health insurance no longer covers your prescriptions, your mental health counseling is now unaffordable, or that simply visiting the doctor could cost hundreds of dollars out of pocket. It's not like your symptoms are magically going to vanish just because you can't afford the healthcare, so how would you handle all this? Well, although this may sound shocking, this could become the new reality for millions of Americans due to the big, beautiful bill. Now, as college students, we're all juggling the rising costs of housing, tuition, and just daily life. For some of us, programs like Medicaid and other healthcare initiatives are essential for staying healthy and accessing affordable treatment. For others, even if we don't depend on these programs directly, policies like this bill will impact family and friends, as well as the broader healthcare system, which is something we all depend on. Now, personally, I'm a pre-med student, so the future of healthcare isn't just a political abstract issue. It's personal. It's something I study, follow closely, and care deeply about. Through my research on this bill, I've learned how this legislation will harm the lives of millions of Americans, as well as undermine the progress that has already been made towards accessible, affordable care. My main point today is that the big, beautiful bill will endanger the future of healthcare, which is why we must take action. Now, let me just give you a bit of background on the bill. Like I said, it was signed into law in July under the name One Big Beautiful Bill Act, though it's anything but beautiful, which is why I will be referring to it as the Big Ugly Bill moving forward. It won in the Senate 51 to 50 votes, and in the House 218 to 214 votes. So even though it only won by a few votes, it was still signed into law. But how exactly will this affect people? Well, according to the Congressional Budget Office, around 10 million people will become uninsured due to cuts in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. And to put this number into perspective, if we were to fill up every single seat in Lucas Oil, it would take 143 stadiums to reach this number, and this isn't just a number. These are real-life people who will be affected by this. Another important aspect of this is that it will target low-income families the most. So imagine barely being able to afford food and housing, but then adding unaffordable healthcare to your long list of financial strains. Not only would this cause higher stress for low-income families, but it would also lead to higher rates of untreated illness in this country. Now, what else will this bill do? Well, according to the Center for Medicare Advocacy, it will cut around $1.1 trillion from health programs. Let's put this number into perspective too. If we were to spend $1 per second, it would take 34,000 years to reach this much money, and this will all be cut from health programs. Now, overall, this will lead to reduced funding to hospitals, leading to employee cuts, which would overall cause a lower quality of patient care, as well as overburdened clinics. Hospitals already face enough challenges on a day-to-day basis, but this would make it even more difficult for them to deliver quality care. So now that we've understood this bill more, what can we do? Well, I believe that although it's already been signed into law, we can take action to mitigate its impact through the 2026 midterms. Now, for those of you that don't know, midterms are elections held in the midpoint of a president's term, and they're held in order to gauge that president's success, as well as elect new representatives if needed. Now, currently, this is what Indiana's representatives look like. We have 9 total representatives, 7 of them being Republicanly seated, and 2 of them being Democratically seated. However, according to the Indiana Capitol Chronicle, the Indiana House Republicans released a redistricting plan last Monday, which would essentially redraw these congressional boundaries. This would make it so that the only 2 democratically held seats could be at risk of being taken over by Republicans. And this is all being done because Trump's administration does not want to risk losing the 2026 midterms. However, why is this bad for healthcare? Well, according to Indy Star, the only 2 representatives from Indiana that actually voted against the Big Ugly Bill back in July were the 2 Democratic representatives. So Indiana cannot become entirely Republicanly seated because not only would that severely underrepresent the Democratic population of Indiana, but it would also likely elect representatives who continue to align with the current administration's agenda, which would only further jeopardize the future of healthcare. And for those of you thinking, it's only 2 seats, it can't matter that much. Well, it does, because if you think back, this bill only passed by a few votes. So it's very important that redistricting does not happen. Now, what else can we do in terms of the midterms? Well, we can vote. According to Hoosiers for Democracy, only around 39% of eligible 18 to 24-year-olds actually voted in the 2020 election in Indiana. If you're someone who thinks, I only have 1 vote, it doesn't matter if I vote or not, this is very harmful because it is very, very important that we all vote in the 2026 midterms to elect representatives who care about healthcare. Because healthcare is just simply too important. There's a reason that if your doctor makes a mistake, they can lose their job. There's a reason if a hospital makes a mistake, they can be sued for millions. It's because in the field of healthcare, there's no room for error, negligence, or reckless policymaking. However, it is clear that the current administration does not understand this through the passing of this bill. So what exactly are the features that are going to be shaped by action versus inaction? Well, if we take action, we can preserve what healthcare access remains as well as stop future harm. But if we don't take action, we face a future in which healthcare becomes even more expensive and unequal. To understand this feature more, I spoke with someone who works here at IU Indy who sees this feature firsthand. This is Angie, my biolab TA, and she was kind enough to share her perspective on how these changes would affect not only her future, but the futures of countless others. She told me that due to the Affordable Care Act subsidy cuts, her health insurance premium is tripling, and her monthly prescription costs $6,000 just for a single month. Now, she also told me that as someone who works in public health, she sees how these changes are going to lead to many people in public health losing their jobs. And on top of just administrative issues, this is a mental health issue. Angie told me that while she herself is not on Medicaid, many of her patients are, and they depend on Medicaid to access affordable treatment. And now they're at risk of losing the treatment that they desperately need but can't afford. So this isn't just an issue on paper. It's like affecting many, many people. It's very important that we take this issue seriously and take action. So what exactly is it that you can do? Well, you can call this number and voice your concerns about redistricting. Redistricting cannot happen because it would elect representatives who would likely jeopardize the future of healthcare even more. And make sure to make that clear once you make these calls. Additionally, you can also scan this QR code. If you scan this QR code, it'll take you to a link in which you can register to vote. Now, even though the 2026 midterms are a bit far away, it's very important to register to vote now so that when they do come around, we can elect representatives who care about healthcare. Now, finally, I'm going to leave you all with a quote. As Maya Angelou once said, I think we all have empathy. We may not have enough courage to display it. Today, I've asked you not just to understand the issue with this vote, but to take action, to choose compassion, to choose to recognize the humanity in everyone affected, and to choose to help create a system that truly serves those who need it the most. The only question left is this: are you courageous enough to make these choices? Thank you.
Our next speaker is Carson Faulkner from Westfield. He's majoring in biology and plans to go to medical school. When Carson isn't studying life under a microscope, he's outdoors hiking and climbing, doing his own field research, but with better views. His professor is Professor Black. Please help me welcome Carson to the stage.
Have you ever felt your ears beginning to ring, your muscles losing that familiar strength, and your heart pausing for just a moment? I know this feeling well. And please allow me to share a story about someone who's close to me tonight. Hopping off the bus that sunny afternoon, I never could have expected the sight that lay waiting for me. And as I entered that still house, not a sound echoed throughout. Breaking that silence was a loud thud, followed by the immediate shaking of the family portrait hung on that pristine white wall. Instantly, I already known what had happened, but I didn't want to believe it. And as I rushed towards the end of the hallway, towards that locked door, pulling an old coin out of my pocket, I fiddled with the lock, desperately trying to unlock it, tears rolling down my face. As I stepped in through the door, the stench of alcohol bombarded me before I could even process what I saw. Blood staining the walls and the floor, glass shattered. But amongst everything was my own mother's body, and as I rushed to her aid, holding her pale body against my own, her blood from her wounds seeping into my clothes. When she woke up, she didn't know my name. She didn't know who I was. To her, I was a stranger in her own home. And it was only then that I looked around the room one more time, as I realized that she overdosed on a mixture of drugs and alcohol, causing her to have an induced seizure. Now, I know that was a heavy start, and trust me, I'd like to believe that college is all fun, free food events, and trying to understand that lecture that we definitely slept through. And come on, we're all college students here. We've seen people treat the weekend like it's the Olympics of bad decisions. But that's why this is just so important, where this culture is so normalized in this day and age that talking about alcohol abuse is just that crucial. So tonight, I want to persuade you that alcohol abuse is a terrible problem in today's society. And I will do this by drawing your attention to the problem, showing you the need to fix it, outlining a plan that satisfies that need, helping you visualize the benefits to my plan, and giving you guys one small step you can do to aid me in the solution. But before I dive any deeper, I'd like to show you guys something. This is what most people think they're drinking. A little fun, a little buzz, nothing too serious, right? But every time someone abuses alcohol, these are the real shots they might be taking. And we'll start with lost friendships. Because alcohol destroys trust faster than anything else, right? Addiction. It doesn't care who you are, it doesn't wait. A car crash. My grandfather nearly lost his life this way due to drunk driving. Fourth, a hospital visit. We've seen people we love and care about end up here just solely based on the bad decisions they made under the influence. And finally, death. And thousands of families every year lose someone due to excessive drinking. These are the shots that no one talks about. But these are the shots that are always going to hit the hardest. And when you look at the numbers, it becomes impossible to deny that this is an active crisis. I mean, just look at some of these statistics that come from the American Addiction Center, whose purpose it is to restore hope and empower individuals and families who have been struck by the disease of addiction. In a study published in 2024, states that over 10% of Americans had had an alcohol-related disorder within the past year. To put that in perspective, that is 33 million people, or 3 times the population of the state of Indiana. My second source comes from the Centers for Disease Control or Prevention, or better known as the CDC, an organization dedicated to protecting the public health. They cite that over 180,000 fatalities every year are due to the excessive drinking. That being just a 30% increase from just a few years prior ago in 2017. Massive difference. Now, I know that was a lot of information, so let's bring this down to something a little bit more local, something that applies to this campus even. According to the National Survey on Drug Use and Health, whose purpose it is to keep individuals updated on current health problems, states that of full-time college students, 1 in every 2 have been found to be drinking within the past month. Statistically speaking, that is half of this room. These are not just statistics, guys. These are real people with real experiences and problems. When as a society are we going to decide that no partner should have to see their loved ones spiral into addiction? No kid should have to see their drunk parents fighting. And no one should lose their own life to that powerful grip of addiction. Well, today is the day, guys. I've derived a plan from the National Health Society of England, whose purpose it is to provide safe and high-quality care to their patients, and it starts with recognizing the problem. Many heavy drinkers don't correlate their problems to their drinking habits, and on the other hand, many deny that their drinking habits are a problem in the first place. My second idea is to implement professional help from doctors or other specialized organizations to help lower the intake of alcohol gradually. And my third and final idea is for the recovering addict to join a sobriety or any other individualized therapy to help cope with those urges to drink. And now that you know what my plan is, let me talk about just some of the benefits that will come with it. By performing those 3 steps listed earlier, we will see better health outcomes. As stated by the CDC, by lowering excessive drinking, we will see lower risk of injuries, domestic violence, and even death. That benefit alone is enough to warrant a change, but we can take this further. We also see an increase in economic savings. Less alcohol-related harms means fewer trips to the hospital. It means fewer lost work days, and it definitely means less strain on social support systems. And my final benefit is that we will see an overall improved community safety, with heavy drinking being commonly correlated to traffic crashes, gang violence, and death. So tonight, I ask you all to perform one small thing, that being to provide non-alcoholic beverages, such as mocktails or non-alcoholic beers when attending or hosting events. And let's be honest, this is gonna taste way better than some of those mystery jungle juice concoction that these frats are whipping up. Yeah, you guys like that. So tonight, I hope I persuaded you that alcohol abuse is a terrible problem in today's society. And again, I did this by drawing your attention to the problem, showing you the need to fix it, outlining a plan that satisfies the need, helping you visualize the benefits, and offering you one small step you can take to help aid me in the solution. That being said, I wish I would have known what to do that night. I wish I could have seen the signs, and I wish I could have intervened. But that being said, I'd like to introduce everyone in this lovely crowd to my mother. Mom, could you please stand? Mom, I am so proud of you. On that terrible night, I had to see you at your worst. But tonight, I am so happy that I get to see you at your best. You have been the best mother anyone can ever ask for, and truly my best friend. I love you with all my heart. Thank you, Mom, and thank you all. Good night.
Our final speaker tonight is Shaylin Skidmore from Danville. She's majoring in pre-nursing with plans to earn her master's and become a nurse practitioner. In her free time, Shaylin enjoys swimming, music, and poetry, meaning she can stay calm, stay active, and stay reflective all at the same time. Her instructor is Professor Mariscal. Please help me welcome Shaylin to the stage.
I want to start by telling you a story. There's a girl in high school. She's a member of the swim team. She's a daughter, a girlfriend, a cousin, a sister, and a friend to many people. But she has a problem. She has been in excruciating pain once a month for about a year. She unexpectedly started her period in the middle of her cosmetology class, but she thought to herself, you know what, it'll be fine. It won't be as bad as last time. I'll just take 2 painkillers like they said, and plus, I can't miss any more class because of this. But as she was working, she began to feel faint, nauseous, and her pain was only getting stronger. And yet she still ignored the urge to stop working and continued with class. But only a few moments later, she was vomiting in a trash can. She was crying, she couldn't breathe, and she was lying on the floor, praying that her pain would go away. And as she was lying there, waiting for help, her principal asked her, "Are you crying because you're in pain? Or are you crying because you're embarrassed?" She said that he looked at her like she was crazy when she said, "I'm crying because I'm in pain." This was her turning point. She knew she couldn't ignore her pain any longer, and she did everything she should do. She went and saw more doctors, more specialists, but every time she was met with the same answer. "Well, what's your diet like?" "Oh, you're probably just stressed out. Why don't you take some more painkillers?" She went through episodes in pain like this for months, wondering why out of all her friends, she was the only one who had to stay home during her period, wondering why the only answer she can get was to take some more painkillers and fix her diet. She went through this for almost a year without answers, before finally she got a possible answer from one doctor who, without pleading, diagnosed her with suspected endometriosis. This story is not made up. This story is not over-exaggerated, and this story has been cut down significantly and does not even begin to scratch the surface of what my best friend went through. This is the story of Emma Phipps. She's a daughter, a girlfriend, a cousin, a sister, and a friend to many people. And most importantly, she is human. And she was ignored by these healthcare professionals who thought her episodes were over-exaggerations. She went through this for almost 2 years, and I had to sit back and watch as someone I love endured pain again and again with no help from a system built on helping people. She is one of the thousands of stories of women in pain. Women have been mistreated, misdiagnosed, and underrepresented in their pain for too long, and Emma is only one example. It is not only detrimental to the health of women, but it impacts identification for chronic illness across a variety of people. Everyone deserves a healthcare system that actually embodies what it's made to do, to help people get better. But is this really an issue? I mean, this is only one story, right? And it's not just one story, and yes, it is an issue. According to the CDC, currently an estimated 82 million people in America reported that they suffer from chronic pain. And of those people, 52% of them are women. So while women make up more than half of the chronic pain sufferers nationally, we often see misdiagnosis and inadequate care due to a lack of female studies as well as a gender bias in medicine. On average, women experience more wait time for diagnosis and are often re-diagnosed at some point in their life. One study shows that when women come to the ER with acute abdominal pain, they often wait around 14 minutes longer than their male counterparts, according to Harvard Education. And we see these wait times increase not only in emergency scenarios, but in diagnosis for chronic conditions as well. One study done by the National Institute of Health shows that women oftentimes after their first appointment wait 6 months for an actual diagnosis. And we see also that this diagnosis oftentimes is wrong. Out of 343 women, 40% were re-diagnosed at some point in their life, ranging from 1 day to 43 years. And of that group, 32% of them were originally diagnosed with a psychological disorder, only to later be re-diagnosed with a chronic pain condition. One explanation for this type of medical care can be correlated to a lack of representation and lack of funding in studies. In female-dominated illnesses, we often see a lack of funding to find causes and identify solutions. We also see a lack of specific lab results, being able to identify problems and come up with solutions. We see in symptom verification that differs between men and women, that in most cases, females aren't represented. One explanation for this can not only be attributed to a gender bias in medicine, but to a lack of female representation in medical books as well. Female anatomy and symptoms differ from men. However, in most cases, we do not see this type of representation in medical books. So how do we fix this? One great way to combat this issue is by doing what I'm doing now. Education. Having this issue be put under a spotlight and understanding that the things that women complain about in the medical system are real issues experienced by lots of people worldwide. Knowing this allows women to fight for themselves and fight for their treatment. Doctors work for you, not the other way around. And once we as a society can see that, we can start to heal from within. The more people that know about this issue, the more people that can fight against misdiagnosis and fight for equal treatment. Voting and calling your legislators to pass a bill that increases funding for women's studies is another great way to decrease the prevalence of this issue. But you may be asking, well, will this actually help? I mean, it seems so simple. And I argue that yes, something as simple as spreading awareness is an amazing way to get help to these women. Increasing the number of people aware of this issue increases the number of people who can help. And in most cases, we can see how awareness has been a call to act. Democratic Representative Raul Ruiz of California introduced a bill that forces studies to broaden their test subjects to include underrepresented groups, that of which including women. Advocacy groups like Women's Health Access Matters and the Society for Women's Health Research are other ways that groups of people fight for the inclusion of women in studies. But these advocacy groups and legislatures cannot happen without awareness. And these legislatures and advocacy groups cannot happen without people like you fighting to make a difference. It's as easy as asking your friends, family, and the people you interact with. Did you know? Educating people about how this problem can affect others is the first simple step. Research who you are voting for and see if they promote the funding of women's studies. Use the QR code above to find out more about this and to find out more about the advocacy groups I've talked about. Advocate for yourself and for others. If you see medical providers turning the other cheek to women's issues, speak up. It is destructive to let these medical providers dodge treatment for women based on gender biases or lack of education. This problem has affected women so much, and women wait in pain for lifetimes. They wait in pain for 43 years. This type of issue is not only a problem now, it's going to be a problem forever. So speak up for the people in your life. Advocate for yourself and for your loved ones. Advocate for the people in your life that are wives, mothers, grandmothers, and even just teammates, daughters, cousins, sisters, girlfriends, and friends to many people, and humans as a whole. Advocacy starts with awareness. And now that you are aware of this issue, go advocate for the people in your life. Please, go advocate for the thousands of women in pain. Here's my works cited. Thank you so much for your time.
What a wonderful group of speakers we had tonight. Let's give them all another round of applause. As we begin the voting portion of our speech contest tonight, we remind you to rank all contestants 1 through 7 and use the QR code that is in your event agenda sheet and on the screen. While the votes continue to come in, we tally them up. Please give your attention to our returning friend and amazing magician. Did you catch him on TV? Without further ado, here is Caleb Wiles for this evening's entertainment. He'll be out shortly. Okay, now introducing Caleb Wiles.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Caleb Wiles. I'm a magician. I'm about to show you some kick-ass magic tricks, but I have a favor to ask. I have a couple of people taking videos and photos for a new promo reel that I'm working on, so I need you guys to help me out. I'll show you good magic if you guys show me some energy. Does that sound like a good plan? Yeah. Awesome. So I'm gonna come out. I want you guys to go crazy. We're gonna get that on tape, and then we're gonna do the magic show. Are you ready? I said, are you ready? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, ladies and gentlemen, magician Caleb Wiles! Hey! Woo! Awesome. I'm so excited to be here today. We're gonna start the magic right off with some audience participation. So, in my case here, I have a Rubik's Cube. I need somebody in the front row who does not know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Do you know how to solve a Rubik's Cube? Awesome, you take this Rubik's Cube, I want you to mix it up. Once you've mixed it up, I want you to pass it down the row. They're gonna mix it up. And then you pass it down the row until it gets all the way to the person by the stairs, okay? Kind of mix those things up perfectly. And while they're doing that, I'm gonna try to read someone's mind. In fact, I'm gonna see if I can connect with somebody in the audience. So everybody right now, take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Feels nice. Okay, I'm feeling some connections from maybe somebody over here. I want everybody to think of a sport. Think of a sport in your mind. Okay, over here, do we have somebody thinking of a sport? Are you thinking of a sport? Yeah. Don't tell me what it is. Don't tell me what it is. What's your name?
My name is Kaylin.
Kaylin, let's give it up for Kaylin.
Kaylin, I'm going to see if we have a connection going on. I'm going to try to read your mind. Don't tell me the sport yet, but let's see if we can dial it in. I think I feel that the frequency is right. Kaylin, does the sport you're thinking of, does it use a ball? Amazing. They seem a little skeptical, Kaylin. In fact, I think I can be more specific. I think I know the sport you're thinking of exactly. In fact, inside this bag, I think I have the ball that is used in the sport you're thinking of. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. When I get to 3, you are going to shout out the sport you're thinking of. I'm going to reach in. I'm going to pull out the ball. It's going to match. The crowd's going to go crazy. Does that sound good? Yeah. All right, Kaylin, are you ready? On the count of 3, you're going to shout it out. 1, 2, 3.
Bowling!
Okay. Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, on film and everything. That's great. I tell you what, Kaylin, did you say boating?
No, bowling.
Bowling. Kaylin, I said think of a sport. You know what? I really thought you were going to go for tennis. In fact, Kaylin, I was pretty much all in on tennis, so I'm surprised you didn't think of that one. But you wanted bowling, yes? Let's give it up for Kaylin! All right. By this point, I think the Rubik's Cube should be mixed up. Who's got the Rubik's Cube of Mystery? You've got the Rubik's Cube of Mystery. Okay. Now for this trick, I need somebody, it could be you if you have it. Do you have your wallet with your ID on you? No? Does somebody near here have their wallet on them with their ID? Who's got, yeah, you right there? No, who's got their wallet with their ID? I can't see with the light here. Yes? Okay, you in the, I think in the white, maybe like 6 rows back. Yeah, with your hand up in the air. You, yes. Would you bring your wallet up and with your ID? And they're going to give you a big round of applause. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Right up to the front of the stage. And you're going to grab the Rubik's Cube on the way. Hurry, hurry, hurry. We're all watching. Let's give her some encouragement. Grab the Rubik's Cube on the way up, okay? This is going to be perfect. Awesome. And just join me all the way up on stage. Let's keep it going for them. Awesome. And you brought your wallet. You got the Rubik's Cube. Perfect. You can put the Rubik's Cube right here. And then if you'll go ahead and take out your ID, your driver's license. Perfect. And what's your name? Esther. Esther? Esther. Is this like a new driver's license or an old one?
A new one.
A new one. Okay, so it's a brand new picture. And this isn't like a college fake ID or anything, right?
No.
Okay, I'm just checking. I'm going to check just to make sure. Not that I don't trust you, Esther, but I'm going to take a look. Okay, I'm going to quiz you. We'll see if you know your own birthday. What was the month you were born?
March 1st, 2006.
March? This says January. You might have a typo on your license. They can fix it, the DMV. Do you see it says January?
Oh my God.
Isn't that weird? In fact, it says January 2nd, 1985. You know what's crazy? That's my birthday. It's crazy. Let me see. You sent a new picture, yeah? The picture doesn't look much like you, to be honest.
No.
It doesn't look like you, does it?
Wait.
Who does that look like?
That's literally you.
That's me? Yeah, let's give it up for Esther. That's cool. Esther, are you a pickpocket or something? How'd you get my ID?
No.
We haven't met before, no?
No.
Okay. When you were taking my ID, you didn't take my credit cards or anything, right?
No.
You didn't.
I just handed mine.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. If my ID was in your wallet, I usually keep my ID in my wallet. Makes sense, right? I have nothing here, but in my back pocket, way over here, I have my wallet. Let's just check and see if the credit cards are still there. That's the part I'm worried about. Oh, the credit cards are still there, in fact. Except it looks like my ID is as well. Maybe you have like a duplicate ID. Wait a minute, Esther. That doesn't look like my ID. Would you tell everybody whose ID is that in my wallet?
Mine.
Is that your ID? I'm going to give that to you as a souvenir. They're going to give you a big round of applause. Oh, that's pretty cool. Now, Esther, stay up here for just a second. Did you get a chance to mix the Rubik's Cube? Okay, I'm gonna give you a chance to mix the Rubik's Cube. That way everybody can see it mixed up. So place your wallet down there. Just turn it a few different times. Now, do you guys know there are 43 quintillion possible combinations on a Rubik's Cube? If I had one cube, Esther, for each one of those combinations, I could cover the Earth's surface 270 times. It's a lot of combinations. You know, the world record for solving a Rubik's Cube is like under 5 seconds. Might even be under 4 seconds. I can't do that. I'm going to trade you here. I'm going to try to solve the Rubik's Cube. I'll call it less than 10 seconds. That's still pretty good, yeah? In fact, I'll do it with only one hand. Okay? And I will do it without even looking. I'll place it inside the bag. I won't even look, okay? Now, Esther, when you say go, everybody in the crowd is going to help me count it down. So they're going to count down like 10, 9, 8 with some energy. I'm going to try to solve the Rubik's Cube one-handed without looking, less than 10 seconds. Would that be a good trick? If I do that, would you guys go crazy? Yeah. Okay, ready? Whenever you say go, they're going to count you down.
Okay, go.
Go, count down.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Stop. Less than 10 seconds, just as they promised. Look, you all in the front row, all of you mixed up the cube. Esther, you mixed the cube up in front of everybody, but inside the bag, you're never going to believe it. 100% perfectly solved all the way around. Let's give it up for Esther. Esther, you don't have to be polite. You don't look very impressed.
No, I am impressed.
You're impressed. Okay. Somebody just said something. Shh. Okay. Shh. Hang on. What? I couldn't hear him. What's that? In the back. Esther, I knew you didn't believe me. It's okay. It's okay, Esther. Trust issues are fine. You'll work through those as you get older. I tell you what, Esther, I will prove to you I do not have another cube in the bag. If that was the case, that would actually be an amazing trick, yeah? Look, Esther, absolutely nothing in the bag. Completely empty, nothing in the bag.
Can I touch it?
Okay, you guys are smart. I tell you what, Esther, how about this? I'll show you there's not a Rubik's Cube in the bag. If I can prove it to you, after the show, you'll get, maybe you guys will buy me a drink. Does that sound good? All right, perfect. Esther, look, nothing in the bag except for the drink you all owe me. Let's give it up for yourself. Let's give it up for Esther. Awesome, high five. Awesome, thank you so much. You can go ahead and take a seat. Awesome. All right. We're going to keep the celebration going. I need to get somebody up on stage who, Esther had a little bit of trust issues. I need somebody who actually trusts the magician tonight. In fact, if the trick goes right, we're going to end the show with a bang, okay? So I need somebody. Is there anybody here that's 21 or over? Anybody 21 or over? Yes. Yes, in the back there, standing up with your hand raised. Would you join me up on stage? Give a big round of applause. All right, I'm going to grab something for the end of our show. In case this goes right, we are going to celebrate. We are going to end with a bang, okay? Awesome, and as you join me up on stage, you can stand right over here. Yeah, right over here. And what's your name?
Anna.
Anna, nice to meet you. I'm Caleb, Anna. Anna, I see you have your coat on. Yes. Do you want to take the coat off? Okay, I'm just going to toss it right to the front of the stage, okay? I don't want you to have the coat for this. You'll see why in just a second. I'm just going to lay it right here for you, Anna. Anna, we're going to try a trick using this can of Coke. Okay, it's Coke Zero Sugar. I want you to take the Coke. You can feel it's still a little cold. It's not as chill as it was, but you can shake it, yeah? And you can hear the fizz kind of in there. Keep shaking it, Anna. Anna, keep shaking it. We're going to try something. I'm going to need you to trust me for this, okay? Keep it shaking. Really go at it, yeah, as much as you can. Here's the trick, all right? In a moment, after you shake it, we're going to do something kind of interesting with it. You guys know when you drop one at home, you shake it up, you just put that one to the back of the fridge, right? Because otherwise, you have sort of a mess on your hands. You trust me, though, right? Okay, everything's gonna be fine, because what we're gonna do, the trick is, we're gonna open up that can right in front of your face. We have consent, that's good, yes? Okay, this is why I have to get the coat off. That way there's a little more stakes involved. And keep shaking, and you can hear it really is fizzy in there, yeah? Okay. Whenever you're satisfied, in a moment I'm gonna have you stop, but before we do, I am gonna need something else to do the trick. So whenever you're satisfied, I'll take the Coke. Perfect, we're gonna leave it right here where everybody can keep their eye on it. In order for this to work, Anna, I am gonna need one more thing. I do need my magic wand, okay? So we're gonna take out my magic wand. That way when you open it up, everything will be just fine. I'm just joking, that's a dumb joke, Anna. No, we're gonna open it up together, but in order to open it up safely, we have to remove all that CO2 energy that you just created inside the can. Okay, are you like a Harry Potter fan? Okay, do you have like a house like Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw? All right, you look like a Gryffindor to me. So I'm gonna install you into Gryffindor's house. I want you to come over here. In your best Harry Potter magic spell, I want you just to pretend, Anna, to grab all the energy, all the CO2 energy out of there. Don't actually move it, just grab it invisibly, like this. Whoosh. So you've got all that, perfect, awesome. Now we're gonna need that CO2 energy later, so I want you to put it somewhere, maybe put it in your pocket or something. We'll hold on to that in just a second. This is the moment of truth. I'm gonna open this up right in front of you. You guys keep me honest, I haven't switched it. This is the one you just shook up. Are you ready for this? Are you a little nervous? Nothing to be nervous about, watch. The amazing Anna, that's incredible. Now, if you want, you can taste it to make sure. You don't have to. You know, she's like, no way, okay? Does somebody else want to taste it to make sure it's true? Would you come up here, just verify for everybody? It's not like a flat one. It's it's perfectly fizzy, yes? You can confirm? It's a good one, awesome. Awesome, you can take that, you can keep that as a souvenir for helping me out. Anna, I told you we were gonna end with a bang. Okay, so here's how this is gonna work. Remember, you put all that CO2 energy in your pocket, if I remember correctly, yes? Remember which pocket it was in? Okay, perfect. In the same way, your best Harry Potter pose, when I count to 3, Anna, you're gonna take all that CO2 energy, and you're gonna go, wah, just like that. You're gonna pose for me and just go, wah. That makes sense? On the count of 3. Are you guys ready? Yeah. I tell you what, if this goes right, Anna's gonna get all the credit. And I want you guys to give her a big standing ovation at the end if this works, okay? Anna, this is gonna be for you. Does that sound like a deal? Yeah. All right, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. The amazing Anna! This is for you! You did amazing, Anna! Big high five for you, my friend! My name is Caleb Wiles. You can take a seat. One more thing, I want to get a selfie to show my kids. I'm going to pull it up on the count of 3. We're all going to go crazy. 1, 2, 3. Everybody say hi, kids! Awesome! You guys were awesome. My name's Caleb Wiles. Thanks for having me. Drive safe. Thank you so much. Yeah!
Wow, thank you, Caleb. Impressive as always. Soon we'll know the results of this competition. But before that, let's take a moment, just a quick moment, together to think about the semester and what we've endured and this night that we've shared. First, again, thank you, Caleb Wiles, for helping enhance the magic of the night. He's at calebwiles.com if you haven't already looked him up. Now, I've had the pleasure to watch our lab grow and change shape over several semesters. This semester, as you were visiting us, we added some events to help our community in new ways. Thank you for trying those things with us. This is a big event for me, actually. I'll be away student teaching next semester, so I cannot be here for my 6th and final semester. You're moving on and I'm moving on, but the lab, it will continue to serve. Dr. Sisson reassures me I'll continue to be a part of our community, and I'm here to reassure you that you will be too. As we get ready to move forward together, think about what's led to this. R110 instructors, please stand. Yeah. Thank you for guiding students throughout this semester. As for tonight, the IU Indy event crew, the SLA videography team, and our camera operators should all take a bow. We are indebted to you. Finalists and families, thank you for sharing your messages with us. Now it's your turn. Pat yourself on the back. You've put in the effort and practice to refine your skills, and they will help you for life. Mentors in the lab, it's been a pleasure, and we couldn't do this without you. Besides, I've gotten to enjoy working with each of you throughout the years. To everyone who has contributed to my time here, students, mentors, faculty, and staff, thank you. It's truly been amazing. And a note from Dr. Sisson. She's in the back if you want to wave. She's ever watchful back there. And she says to please thank me for helping not only with Speech Night, but also many other things that I've helped get off the ground. I guess I should have seen that note coming. Thank you, and now back to Salsaville.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. Tonight, our assistant lab director, Alyssa Taylor, and our lab supervisor, Marissa Musa, will be presenting awards. If we could please have one more round of applause as all of our contestants and their instructors come to the stage. Let's give them one more round of applause. Tonight, our third place finalist is Raja Gowik. Second place is Carson Faulkner. And our 109th IUI Communication Studies Speech Competition winner of Speech Night is Kaylin King. Thank you all for supporting our contestants in tonight's event, and thank you to everyone involved in making this event happen tonight. Now get home safely and warm. Contestants, please hang around for some photos.